So if his mom had so when I would be
He has and
I didn't even understand. I actually was talking to other people and they were saying this is like right. So and then poor mom was living with
All right, so that's wait. Oh, I put my phone. Okay. So did everybody get feedback on? Did everybody get? Not both people got a chance to talk, right? Did the person speaking? Did you or did you not? Just ask yourself. Did you address these? And if you didn't, do you know you didn't? Did the person give you feedback that you did? I don't care if they give you feedback, but do you realize that that's the opportunity if you didn't get those parts? Or maybe you think you did. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Okay, so now we're going to switch it. And the other person is going to describe. And you can make sure you're doing the same thing. That you're identifying the goal. That you're identifying the goal for both parties. And that it's an authentic one that really does fulfill a core need. Like feeling like you have the ability to affect change. You have some, that you're not powerless. That these are core needs. That, and you're working towards competency, stability, safety in a relationship. Okay, go ahead. Reset. Start. 5 minutes. Allison, do I have permission to get
I wouldn't be again, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like every parent that I teach would say the same thing. I don't think it's unique to you. I think kids get to a point where they're self-sufficient, which is what you want. When a kid, and for himself, they think where he needs to be responsible. You know? Yeah, right. No. Yeah, we just want to include you. Yeah, right. Right.
What was the end of the story? He tells me the say I don't even know like when he will come from there. I don't put this position. I tell him what he needs. No, I want to try to do and I tell him I want it now. Another way I'm not coming in the car. But I just but I come in. And it's happened what's here. It's happened again. Not again. I
testing with her. They gave her tests like say this, and then they turn the page.
Again, because he said it is not doing.
And then
that's all
back to the
she said
say it out loud and then try to see if it would help. And she says it out loud.
So he like and again he got like adults and relatives.
she doesn't have it out loud.
Again,
She's a hard time talking about it.
So
She hasn't started doing that yet, but now that she last year was very good. But I think now she's been here and we're teaching some others from Jackson. She's got a ton of accomplishments. So I'm hoping that even if it's not great in the classroom, she can go to Leia to keep the reflective. So she's, I said, we're gonna start off, I didn't know where we're gonna pick up music. I can tell you that right now. So let's let her pick up and then I will say that let's have her try something else.
I am,
She just doesn't have it. And he's like, I think she can do it. I'm like, I think she can do it if that's all she's doing. I don't think she can do it.
It's very apparent.
Math and science. So we're gonna try. What she has is not, it's something that affects every subject.
it's
So
literally
it's like,
like sibling rivalry thing.
I talked to her once, like, superstar. Even financial interest.
So, if he doesn't, little, like she dances, in a good dancer,
It's really pretty like, but then once they get older, they're not really reading anymore. Then,
you know,
like where is that?
and I think if I just sort of say, you know, I
About 15
I
seconds.
recognize that, you've done it to change whether it's free or not. To say, you know, I really tell me once it was like it's not really convey to him, I really appreciate it.
Okay, stop. So if the person that listened to you could just give you some feedback and maybe, you know, self-assess by looking at this list. For a minute.
Oh, for sure.
And they may do also certain things more.
Okay. So do you all feel like you answered these? You're still talking? Okay. So I have a question. How many of you did adult issues? That's funny. Okay. All right. So I'd like, if you don't mind, could I have a couple of examples? And I'd love to do just kind of live coaching on the spot, like, so you could just go through your sheet. If possible, I want you to tell me, just give me a brief description of the situation, and then go down this list. And then tell me what your approach is. Who would like to have an opportunity to try?
We had a boy in school this year, and so basically,
Oh, that boy.
that boy, not a different boy.
Different boy.
Friend. He's on the kindergarten.
Okay.
So you might have to come see him for the lower school, but not for me. So this boy would, he would get other kids with him.
How old?
He was 4 or 5. He would get other children with him, and then he would run around the room during free play and knock everybody else's stuff over with his friends. Like he would bring kids with him. And the teacher, he's had trouble all the way through. And so we would say, the teacher would say, you know, she would get upset and respond, and he would say, I don't need to listen to you, and just keep going. There was like no stopping him. So like if I went in, I would pull him aside and I'd find something else for him to do as I'm reading and understanding from this course. I did not provide him competency, I just gave him something else to do in that moment. But going through the steps.
Which is okay in the moment.
Right,
To
I mean, we just
address
gotta
the
stop it,
behavior.
right.
It's just going later and thinking bigger picture. That's all that is.
Right.
Okay, so yeah.
And so now, like looking back on it, like I tried to imagine what I would do now going into the room, how I would handle it, and I wanted I still never really knew why he was doing that.
Right, okay, so what,
So
right, okay.
the why was not there. So
Okay.
I definitely would start with empathy
Uh-huh.
and say you're feeling like you want to play with your friends, but you know, you don't know what else to play or something like that.
Yeah, what would it be? Okay, so let's think. It might be real simple to start. You
Might
just
be
step
even
in and
simpler,
you just
right.
describe.
And if I'm wrong, maybe he'll still share.
That's right.
That's what
That's
I
all.
was thinking.
Yeah, you just don't.
Say
okay.
something, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
hopefully he'll say no. And he's very, very sharp kid.
And remember, the empathy doesn't have to be the feeling, oh, it's really fun to. It could
Right.
just be simply like, you know,
Stating it.
lately you've been running around the classroom with your friends and you guys kind of like knock over a bunch of things. So
Right.
It's real general, okay.
Right, I like that better actually. And then hoping that either he says something back to me,
You'll get more.
you
yes.
know, and correct me, or you know,
Yes.
whatever it is, I can give a
Okay.
little bit more. Then personal message being
Yes.
that I'm worried that you're gonna get hurt, and I'm worried that other children are not gonna want to play with you because they're getting angry. You know,
Uh-huh.
other children are getting upset,
Uh-huh.
something like that.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, what else could we do during
Okay.
this time?
What's your goal?
Um,
You use the personal message to communicate your goal too.
Oh, my goal
You
being that
want.
he finds an appropriate way to play that doesn't, you know, upset the other children in the
Okay.
classroom.
What about the disrespect?
But I'm
Yeah.
the other piece that, I mean, I kind of dropped that one to
Yeah, oh,
see if
'cause
because I don't know if I would do that. I kind of wanted to see if I could help him be more confident if that other
Without
piece would
addressing
even
that,
be an
I
issue.
might go with that too. I might drop that
see,
temporarily, just
yeah.
pick your, just see what happens.
Yeah,
okay?
because like, I mean, to me, that's kind of like a nothing thing, and if we
Yeah,
can solve the
it's hard to
problem.
correct attitudes
Yeah,
without fixing a problem for
Right,
them.
it's a symptom of
It's just,
something, right?
you know, and you can address attitudes. Oh, I address attitudes.
Yeah,
But
maybe the other first.
you tend to run in circles with that. No, I don't like the way you roll your eyes at me. Like that. She's like, I didn't do anything. Yes, you did.
I saw it. I was
Okay.
standing right
Yeah.
there.
Oh, I know what I felt.
I love when they say no, I didn't, and you're like, I just
Yeah,
saw it.
yeah, it's hard to do much
I'm
of that.
watching
All
it.
you can do is state a personal message.
Yeah.
I know what I felt, and it was hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I wrote down after I finished doing this, well, two things. One was, I'm not sure that I addressed the competency. Like, I mean, we'll see what
Competency,
happens.
when you think of that, think the ability to affect some positive change, see yourself getting better at something, to have some say in the matters, to like, you feel like there's something you can do that's actually quite valued.
So it's not necessarily that I'm fixing or helping him fix the idea that he's having trouble interacting or whatever it is. that
It might not be at all.
It might not even be that.
It's just in the back of your mind, maybe you're working towards that. It's
Mm-hmm.
just something in the bigger picture that you want to be developing. If you can address it with this dynamic, you know, great.
And then the consequence piece, like, I guess what will happen is sometimes you'll need a consequence, sometimes you won't, depending on how everything else goes. If you still need a consequence, because it's still happening, I mean, the first one that came to my mind was if you are not going to be safe in the classroom, then you have to sit next to the teacher when you're playing, not running freely. I mean, that's the one that,
I like that one, but I don't know how effective that is for the kid or how much of a hassle that's going to be for the
right.
teacher.
And if
but
he's running around, no one wants to chase. So, like, how do we stop the
I
running
like
around
that
room?
one, seems to make sense, and it
It's
might
natural,
be,
but
you have to do something like that in order to get back to figuring out what something is that he likes to do.
Right.
My guess, if it's a defiant kid and there's a power struggle, he needs to trust and feel safe, like he has a say.
Mhm.
That's gonna be big for helping decrease anything power struggle related is decreased. People instinctively resist feeling like they're being controlled. And if he's come from a home, an environment where he feels like he's constantly doesn't have a say, the empathy and helping him get things like accomplished, it goes a long way. The flexibility, it's like the very thing you don't want to do with a power struggle kid is be flexible. You want to dig your heels in and slap a consequence on it, and it's actually quite the opposite if, it's not a free fall, if you're helping him accomplish something that he likes. So example that I use sometimes is I had a therapist in one of our sessions, and he worked with this kid who we went through all the skills, and each time she got the empathy. You don't want to be here in his therapy session. You wish you were somewhere else. She got it. I mean, you could read the transcriptions. personal message, we have to be here, I really hope you can try all that, right, nothing. Finally, she was like, how do you want to spend these sessions? He was like, I want to go outside. How about this idea, you pay me? And like, she just started writing down ideas, and I could read these things, and they came up with the idea that at the end he could go outside, and the whole dynamic changed. Like, so
this
you know,
child, I think.
I don't know about this.
And so, yeah, I mean, you never know what goes on behind closed doors. There certainly could be power struggles. It seems to me, they're very nice people and they're trying really hard, and it seems to me like he sort of scares them a little. So I think that
That's power.
I think they're right. I think that there's very little control of him, not because they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's almost made him anxious because there's like
Yeah,
no
not
control.
a lot of routine or
You know,
structure.
yeah, it's like, and then if something happens, the parent will say to me, oh, he's playing superhero. I'm like, beating
Yeah.
everybody up, you know, like,
Knowing
so.
what is gonna come next and what to expect is probably really important for him.
Right, and that it's clear so that that safety, that's what we sort of found with him, that and when we wound up giving him, like for a while, which I hate to do this, but he was really aggressive for a little while, we would say that he had to go home.
Well, yeah, you have to send him.
And so we would say, you know, we're gonna give you two times, we're gonna tell you, and then we're gonna give you a chance to, whatever, and then after the second time, and he lives right behind the school, so they could walk home, and the parents would walk over, and we would say, you have to go home. And after a couple times of realizing that we were gonna follow through with that, he definitely
That's good.
calmed down a little
That's good information
bit.
to file away.
I mean, I hate to do that, but it
No,
was like.
I think he needs it. I think
and
he
we
was going
couldn't
with the
control
outer
it.
thing, and so you can get.
Yeah.
And I think you think of the outer discipline. We just did inductive discipline, but in my mind, it's a lot of routine.
Yeah.
It's he knows what's going to happen.
It's,
1,
no one's
2,
angry, it's
3,
just matter of
4.
fact.
That's
Yeah.
just what happens, and you
Yeah.
free up a lot of his. You reduce anxiety and free up a lot of energy
I
from
wonder
being
what.
able to.
Yeah, but
Other
I
things.
would have handled it very differently now, knowing what I've learned,
Yeah.
because I would have definitely gone in and tried to, you know, I think I just talked at him, and and gave him like what he's gonna do instead, and we didn't really have anything, you know. I mean, if you say to him why, I'm sure that I usually say, why you know, and I'm sure he said, I don't know, you
Yeah.
know, but I think I would have had more tools
Yeah.
to like go deeper on that
Yeah.
now, I think.
Will you see him again this year?
He's going to the force. I'm sure I'll hear about him.
Okay.
He's got.
I'm sure you can help him teach.
Yeah, well, if I hear anything, I'll let you know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
maybe he'll need a
Yeah,
little, it's been since he's 18
good.
months old. We've been having challenges kicked
Yes.
out of camps, kicked out, because we don't,
Yeah.
I'm not in charge of the camp at BT.
Yeah.
Someone else does, he's left.
It's like high structure, high trust, and connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, another one. Yeah.
One. It's about 17-year-old
Yeah. Oh, good. I have a 17-year-old too.
So mine got his license in the fall after a lot of practice, but
Yeah.
we're still not comfortable with him driving on the highway. He's just not good enough at it yet, and he knows that he's not allowed to until he kind of shows us
Yes.
that he can do it well.
Okay. What does that mean?
What does what mean?
Okay. Keep going. I won't interrupt you.
Okay, so the problem is that as soon as he gets in the car with my husband,
Okay.
who's way better at teaching driving skills than I am, he gets so nervous that he starts making 1,000 mistakes, and it just cycles into this terrible thing. So the goals are, like in the practical sense of him having more independence and freedom in the actual driving, but also more confidence and more comfort, A, because of the driving, but B, with his father and in this type of situation. And us feeling comfortable and safe and sending him out in the world, confident that hopefully he will be safe and everyone else will be safe with him driving.
I think those are.
So it's sort of a big
I like those goals.
problem.
I think they're. Okay. Keep going. So how do you think?
So we definitely, I have the empathy. Like, have had
Yep.
lots of conversations with him. I get that this is a
Yeah.
real fear for you.
And I'm sure you've given the personal
The
message.
personal message, and we've tried cooperative problem solving.
Okay.
The
Tell me how that
issue is, he doesn't really have any ideas. Like he said he would be more comfortable if I sent my daughter who's older.
Well,
out with him.
what is his goal that he said?
He wants to be able to drive on the highway because
Okay,
it would
so
make
he's
life a lot
motivated to
easier. It's
drive on the
taking him
highway.
3 times as long to get everywhere,
Okay, good.
taking back roads. So he wants to be able to do it, but he kind of just like the fear is shutting him down from being able to, pass this test or whatever with his father.
Okay.
So we talked about it, like how will you feel more comfortable? So we came up with the idea that maybe if he went out with his sister a few times and sort of practiced with her, poor child, brave soul, that it would make him feel more comfortable. And he did that, and it went okay. But then last night when we sort of said like, okay, you ready to go out with Dad now? And he was like, no.
Okay. So the first thing I think, so he's motivated, he wants to get on the highway, he's pretty compliant and then he'll drive with, but it's really the fear. So your goals are all in line. You want to decrease the fear, especially knowing that fear interferes with your effectiveness driving. How do we do that? Okay. So the first thing I think that is creating what is the goal when you get in the car? What are the parameters? So there's some structure about how, the dad gives feedback, when he gives it, and what is it that he's going to do? Like pick a route, pick a something, and master it. Small, just master it. And then you can add another just because it's almost like systematic desensitization is pick something small, get good at it, your anxiety goes down, and then get to do something else, a little bit something else. So you can share that idea with both of them independently.
Yeah, I haven't brought up that whole other side
Right.
of things.
Right. That's a whole different thing, right? But the idea is that the fear is interfering with his ability to be effective. Dad's not doing anything wrong. He's not doing anything wrong. We just want to help him be effective. So one of the first things is making sure that we're all on the same page with the goals. We want him to be able to be successful. How do we get successful? First is knowing what it looks like. What does it mean? I'm going to drive around. I'm going to drive this route and all the things that, go along with it. And that there are certain things that he knows what are the goals. That when you're at every cross, you could map it out. You look both ways. So it doesn't have to be enormous. I pick something small, and that his dad gives him feedback on each of these things. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe when he does it well, the plan is that he says you did that well and then he doesn't talk. Because it's a concept of scaffolding. Gottman talks about that in Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child. That when you give too much information, the really effective parents at teaching a skill were the ones who give just the right amount of information and then sit back while they make mistakes. It's a little difficult in a car. That's why I want a route that's fairly safe. You sit back and then you catch them being right. And then you give them just a little bit more information to learn something, and then you step back. Because if it's too much information, you flood them. They can't do it well. And if there's not enough positive feedback when you're learning something new, then you want to build his confidence. What am I doing out myself? Because
You sure you don't want to take him out?
I'll take him out. You can take my son out. I'm really serious. Yeah. The problem with my son is he thinks he's good at driving. That's worse. And he likes the music.
Why do they let them so young?
Oh,
I
it's
offer
ridiculous.
Michael's taught him a bunch of, he just for some reason just has this kind of goofy, Michael has this all the Gilmore kids.
And
The
then
little
give little
baby steps.
information.
Call my
Baby
phone, I don't know what it is.
Did a great job. He's driving, waving at us and be like,
Yeah.
okay,
I
so.
just think it's
Very
So that makes me think, make sure his dad and you come up with, you do rule of thumb on a route, like no more than 4. I know, see, driving is like 20 things, but you pick 4 for one route that are the top ones.
Okay.
And in the back of your minds, you kind of say, okay, what are the things? Just pick 4. I don't know, just for the first ride around, because he can do it. And then you tell him I'm going to add. There are obviously a lot more things, but we just want to get him over that hump, like looking both ways. And then I know, there's certain things. I don't know. I'm very bad at teaching driving, but. And then I want to know I want you to email me.
Thank you so much.
Why don't you FaceTime her on the ride?
So, okay, anybody else have one? Another one? I think these are good, because you get, come on, brave soul, you get a,
I just want to say mine was very similar to
Uh-huh.
what Melissa spoke about, and I shared with my colleagues that I so want to do over with this child from last. I just wanted.
Can you get a do-over? Can you see him again?
No, I mean, he moves on. I mean, I do threes.
Oh.
So, but I really want, but I can, and I certainly can share, and it just, I just feel like if I had had this, the conversation would have been so different. I didn't get a lot of family support for some of the situation, but I was so frustrated by that, and I realized I had so much more control over the situation than I believed I had at the time. Because if I had empathy, personal message, if there had been, so I want to do it.
It's hard living with
But
the
hopefully-
regret of a lot, that when you learn something, you're like, oh, I wish I'd done that. I mean, even as parents,
For
right?
him,
Like,
right, for him, it's just, I realized, we knew then that a lot of this wasn't all in his control.
Yeah.
It was a very similar kind of
Yeah.
situation, and we used to let him, not earn time, but if he did, we would take him out and just let him run around the playground just like 5 times. He just needed to get.
Yeah, the physical
he just
activity is
needed to- right, and that's
really
very, and that played a lot into, and we would just, one of us would just take him outside, and he literally could just run around the playground 5 times. And just,
As far as with the relationship issue,
Yeah.
like now looking back on it, I think there was a lot of like testing the teacher, seeing what she'll
Yes.
do, not trusting her, not feeling safe with
Yes.
her. Like I think it was like a challenge to her almost, like a head-to-head challenge.
Oh, yeah, it's really hard being the person
The
watching
relationship.
that dynamic, like, yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave you with some tips for success, and then tell you kind of about different ways you can continue to get support, and continue your growth. So some helpful tips, there's so many tips, I tried to give you a couple ones that you could lead with. First, choose a challenging time and establish a structured routine. So pick one routine. Say, I'm gonna look at this from a parent's perspective for a minute, but bedtime. Okay, there are 4 or 5 things that you need to do to get ready for bed. Brush your teeth, wash your hands, put on your pajama, read a book, say goodnight. One of the things that we know about routines is that most of the time, people that have more trouble around like these mealtime, the routines are incredibly helpful, and then checking them off the box. So you start creating the routines and you take out the opportunity for power struggles. You can use all these skills. And you, like again, the more things that they know it's gonna happen less, the less opportunity for power struggles. That, my business partner, who I wish you could have met, his name is Jared Holt. He used to be the head of teaching and learning at city schools. One of the things he found was that he was really interested in early literacy, and that parents of kids with the lowest rates, a lot of them came from lower income families. And what he found was that it was like a multiple regression analysis. In stats, what that means is if you're interested in literacy, you put in all the variables that could affect that, like the parent's education level, the income level, like whether or not you have a bedtime routine, how many books are in the house, and then they rank orders all of them. The top one was bedtime routine. And they were also interested in absenteeism and word count. Biggest variable was whether or not they had a bedtime routine. Like 90% didn't even have a routine. So what he developed, it's called Bedtime in a Box. And it comes with a toothbrush, pajamas, a washcloth, books, like little cardboard books, 3 of them, and then a little sheet that says check, 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 and parents track it. He increased word count by over 100 or 200. Just by having them develop, the routines went up and their word counts went up and the number of books in the home. Simple, it's simple. So we do all these interventions to affect absenteeism and behavior in school, and a lot of it has to do with when the kid goes to bed and whether or not they have a bedtime routine. So in your own life and in the school and your classroom, pick something like that and then just track it. I imagine as teachers, that's all you do is have routines. I mean, because you have like that many kids to manage. But in your own houses, when there's struggle with the kid, or just like that kid at playtime, the one who's running around knocking over things, give him 4 things he needs to do that happen every single time. The other one is hold family meetings or classroom meetings. And so where you're using all these skills and you're touching base, and it's something that is a process that you come back to each time for discussing things. So I made this up. My mom actually helped me make this up. My mom is a retired clinical psychologist, and she used to teach this essentially same program to couples, less on the discipline piece. But the person who trained her had a process for holding a discussion with another adult. And we took this when my kids were little, and we created a family meeting outline. And so I thought I'd give you each one of these. You can use it however you prefer. And I like to do it because for me, like, it creates the structure I need for sanity around mealtime. And so here's how it works. There's kind of an outline. Now this is for a family meeting. You can do this in your classroom too. So I've had teachers take this and do this like in the beginning of the day. Real short. It's got to be short. I'm not very good at keeping it short. But with the younger the kids, the shorter. You may take little chunks and do them at different times. So the first is appreciations. So you open it up like, it's descriptive reinforcement to acknowledge a family member's or another kid's positive behavior or something you're grateful for. So everybody, laser around the thing, something you're grateful for, something descriptive reinforcement so that each kid say, they could even say, my daughter would say like, I'm so glad I did well on my test. Doesn't matter, just gratitude. New information. So with little kids it might be, I got a new puppy. For a family, it's, okay, like tomorrow I have basketball practice. Or I need to stay after school tomorrow, or news to share. It's my teacher's birthday and I need help getting her a present. For me, it's helpful because I needed something to go back to because I forget so many things. And I want a structure for like, okay, now I know that once a week, I know everybody else knows the plan. Areas of confusion. So share concerns and ask for support. So you're using personal messages for all this and you're modeling it with them. So I have tryouts for soccer, I'm worried I won't make the team, say a prayer for me, or identify an area of confusion. Last week you had chorus on Wednesday, but this week it's on Monday. Does that change every week? So with a little kid, it might be something like, I noticed you had a lot of trouble getting your shoes on today. Like, I'm wondering if they're different shoes. Doesn't matter, just adapt it to your classroom. Like, can you all think of a question you might ask for area of confusion? New information may be like, today, and what do you all have, like the structure of the day up on the board or something? Okay, so I know teachers do this a lot. Complaints with requests for change. That's, your clothes have been left in the middle of the bathroom the past few days. When you take off your clothes, like you put them in the hanger, hamper. Like I remember picking something that was manageable. If you do this with your family, pick something really simple they can do. Hopes, wishes, and dreams, that's the best. So maybe with your kids, you start out with descriptive reinforcement, appreciations, and then you end with hopes, wishes, and dreams. Something simple to get them started. So that could be, my daughter used to say, I wish we could get a new puppy or to have a new sister. Fine. I hope we can have more meetings like this. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's a chance to put out there like something they're hoping for, to get them in the habit of that. And then this, on the second page, it's just a sheet to fill out for yourself, like if you're doing this with your family.